In today's video, what I want to cover is the exact steps necessary to reduce your front-end CPA. Now, the variables tied to that is you have your creative, which is the first impression a user is going to see, your campaign setup, your internal creative team structure, because if you don't have the right team, if you're not producing consistent concepts week over week, you're not going to be able to scale your ad spend. And then lastly, your post-click, the last step of the funnel. When a user clicks off your ad creative on Meta, where are they landing? Is the offer incentivizing enough to want to get that user to spend money? And overall, it's easier for us to raise the AOV than it is for us to lower the CPA in a 90-day window. If we're cut for time and we want to lower our CPA, we can split test by raising the AOV. So let's dive in. Now, who am I? Why should you listen to me? My name is Chris Hernandez. I am the founder of ScaleVelocity.io. Now, we are simply put a consulting firm. Now, the beauty of running this consulting firm is you see a wide variety of brands in different areas or different stages of growth. Some brands are ready for exits, some aren't. But our main thesis here is you can read my protocol breaking this down to a T, but we set up brands for exits. Now, different stages requires different action steps. This is the beauty of this protocol. With our protocol, it can be implemented across any brand stage, depending on where you're at. But regardless, the results that I share with you today are highly correlated to having product market fit. But in a market that's ever changing, in a market that's continuously cycling through different trends, different waves, different upticks, even different downturns, what remains the same today is principles. And that's what I'm going to teach. Now, if you want to mitigate your risks, you want to get to your North Star faster, you're tired of getting burned by ad agencies, you can check out ScaleVelocity.io to skip that phase of you getting burned. Now, the ancient methodology of creative testing. Well, back in the day, I would say 2 years ago, agencies had a conception. And how do I know this? Well, I ran an agency, a creative agency to be specific, but creative testing was done with multiple SKUs in the same ad set. After auditing a ton of accounts, I see that still being present today, which is weird. Creative concepts without intent on specific hypothesis with clear outcome on ideal customer profile. It's literally agencies, contractors, doesn't matter. People are still throwing random stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks to this day. There's an overspend with zero financial planning or understanding. A lot of outsourcing, paying 6 to 10K retainers to get creative. Now, every single brand under management within our portfolio has been in at least one of these categories. This was last 30 days. We did generate over 300K for one of our partners in our portfolio. And this is with dealing with meta outages, focusing on raising capital efficiency for every dollar spent. So what is the creative targeting method? How does that work? Well, majority of ad accounts in 2024 have shifted towards broad targeting, Advantage Plus, these dynamics. But I see a lot of people moving away from interest-based targeting. A lot of people are now moving towards broad targeting. Positives to that, cheaper CPMs, far more efficient for your dollar spent. And what you're doing is you're working with the meta algorithm to now create creatives that do the targeting for you. As a byproduct, this is going to lower your CPM. But the downside to this is, of course, it takes more time to work with the algorithm. You need more ad spend to feed the algorithm data to hit your ideal customer profile. Whether if you focus on Advantage Plus, you're hitting more middle funnel, bottom of the funnel, not ideal customer profiles, some of your competitor customers. So the downside to that is you're paying higher CPMs, right? But the most capital efficient approach, if we were following the broad spectrum, well, we're segmenting concepts by demographic. We're organizing concepts by age, gender, specific angle. We're going to do like a us versus them, 3 reasons why. And then we're going to try to find a specific tactic or persona. So we start with defining terms. I mean, angles is, okay, how can we reach ideal customer profile? Concepts are, you have your static, your GIF, your UGC. With meta, these are the concepts we want to expand on. Start off with statics first. It's the most efficient ad you can create with as much time or as least time needed as possible. You can generate static concepts within 30 minutes. Then you have GIFs, then you have UGC. GIFs can be done, probably takes a bit more time. UGC takes 2 to 3 weeks for production, right? And it's hit or miss on creator. Then we have variations for every concept we create. We create 2 different variants to that. And then our North Star is made within the iterations and tracking data, right? So if we're expanding on a specific concept, we might look at different hooks, different problems, different failed solutions. This is going to vary by concept, but same process here is we want to reverse engineer what worked in the past, what concept can we expand on, what can we invest into to build into a GIF, into a UGC. Now, I already covered the pros, but now we're getting real technical here. This is how we organize inside the ad account our specific data points. We have the number of, if we're going broad, we're going to do our creative test within our dynamic creative test at the ad set level. That's a feature on Meta DCT. Turn that on, and then we organize the concept by DCT. We go demographic, which is gender, age, angle, which is okay. This is a 3 reasons why concept. Media type, static, GIF, UGC, tactic, USP. Is it still an image? What is it? Are we testing the model? And then this brief description. Now, syntax laid out when organizing at the campaign level, ad set level, and then the creative level. So why do 95% of DTC brands struggle to make Meta profitable? I mean, it's not a question of better alternatives to Meta. The platform is really dynamic and you have a lot of accessibility to the platform. But if I look at principles, what really decides consumers to buy or not is the content of your advertising, not its form. This is something David Ogilvy said in one of his books, as well as reading on his insights from the old school of advertising philosophies. Scaling adverts requires focus on every variable possible within the sales process, right? I just covered one aspect of it, creative. I covered the campaign, how to set it up. I covered concepts. Uncovered that spectrum. Now we have the actual campaign setup. How do we organize that data? How can we take the data that we've utilized to then make iterations to create the ideal ever winning lasting ad that can run any year round? And we do this by having this all in our Google Sheet, right? It's testing tracker. It's really hands-on, but it's efficient, right? You organize your DCTs, you organize the demographic, persona, angle, and you have your concepts and everything's tracked. Now, at scale, if you're producing 10, 15, 20 concepts a week, then you might look towards automation with Zapier, ClickUp, those kind of tools that can track this, and then you track everything inside the ads manager. But the beauty behind segmenting tests with hypothesis and organizing this data is that you can look at each data point and see, okay, within the funnel, where are the bottlenecks, right? Is it a creative issue? Is it a offer issue? Is it a post-click issue? So on and so forth. So with these principles, we want to make sure that we're efficient with every test we do run. We want to keep one variable constant at every single, or we want to keep every single variable constant except the independent variable that we're looking to test. And when we do this and we track this data, what's going to happen is we're going to see results. We're going to see winners, and overall, we're going to make iterations towards lowering our CPA. The only limit to lowering your CPA is if you have everything focused, you have everything organized, it's just your cap to your ad spend or cash flow. Because the more tests you run on a creative spectrum, the more likely you're going to come across a winner faster. That's the beauty with ad spend. The more money you spend, the faster you get data back. Now, with that being said, we didn't even talk about the post-click. We didn't even talk about some of these in-depth stuff. But there's two options here, right? I just covered a small piece of the funnel. But you can take the information I've presented with you today and implement it ASAP. Or we could mitigate risk. You can hedge your bets with professionals by working with scalevelocity.io. You can book a call, and if you want our direct access to some of our creative testing templates that I've covered in today's video, you can check out the link below. But if you want to skip the process, like I said, of getting burned, check out scalevelocity.io, book a call, and I'll walk you through the exact process we use to set up brands for exits.